Ahoy there, mateys, and welcome back to the Pirates vs. Werewolves podcast. It's time for another action-packed pirate raid into the thrilling world of flash fiction.
Shiver me timbers.
This week, we've got two wild tales you sent us, both plunging headfirst into that classic battle between humanity and the beast. But let me tell you,
Oh, the twists.
twists indeed. We're talking legacy, loyalty, and the price of peace all turned upside down. We've strapped on our cutlasses, dove deep into these flash fiction stories to bring you the most fascinating insights, so get ready to be swept away on a swashbuckling adventure filled with secrets, betrayals, and alliances you'd never see coming.
Talk about bearing the lead. I was hooked from the very first sentence of both of these. What's immediately striking is how they take those really familiar elements, werewolves, ancient agreements, all those power plays, and just flip the script.
Right. You think you know where it's going, and then bam!
It's a testament to the power of flash fiction. So much punch packed into such a short form.
Okay, enough chatter. Let's hoist the mainsail and get into our first flash fiction story, Blood Legacy.
Picture this. The small, almost deliberately old-fashioned town of Hollow Creek.
Quaint, you might say.
Quaint's got a good ring to it. The harvest moon is hanging heavy in the sky, casting this really oppressive atmosphere. And then we meet Ethan. He's a teenage outsider, a bit of a loner, keeps to himself, but with this incredibly specific, almost out-of-place skill repairing antique clocks. You can feel the underlying tension right away, this unspoken weight of a long-standing pact with werewolves.
Immediately, you're like, okay, something's not right here.
Yeah.
The seemingly backward nature of the town, then you've got Ethan and his talent. It's like he's from a different time. And the harvest moon, classic werewolf lore. You know something big, something tied to this pact is about to go down.
And go down it does. This carefully constructed peace between the town and the werewolf pack just shatters. Ethan stumbles across this trampled offering in the woods, the air thick with the metallic scent of blood.
You can practically smell it through the page. And then he comes face to face with a massive werewolf. Talk about an intense encounter. But then, out of nowhere, this old woman, Maeve, appears. She stops the creature, just like that, and gives this cryptic warning that Ethan doesn't bear the mark. It's a moment that throws the entire story into question. Who is Maeve? What's this mark? So many questions.
It's like she knows something we don't, right? Almost of an oracle. She throws in that curveball of the mark that immediately sets Ethan apart. You're hooked, wondering where it's all going.
And the tension just keeps ratcheting up. Ethan gets home and his dad, instead of tinkering with gears, is forging silver blades. The town is going crazy, everyone ready to hunt werewolves. It's like all reason has just flown out the window.
Mob mentality. We've seen it before, both in fiction and real life, right? Fear takes over and logic goes right out the window.
Then Maeve shows up again, confirms the pact is broken, and gives Ethan this old, worn-out amulet. It's like she's passing him a piece of a much bigger puzzle.
Literally a key to understanding this broken agreement, its history, everything, and the contrast. His dad, the clockmaker, now making weapons. It really hits home how deeply this whole werewolf thing is affecting them, their identity, their way of life, everything.
And this is where our pirate raid takes a sharp turn. Ethan sees this unfinished inscription on his dad's workbench. It matches the amulet perfectly, and then, bam, he discovers a faint mark on his own skin, the mark of the pact. Everything he thought he knew is suddenly flipped upside down.
It's brilliant. The outsider, the one who never fit in. He's actually the one connected to what they fear most. It's like a commentary on prejudice and how we judge based on appearances.
And gets deeper. The amulet starts pulsing, and Ethan gets these flashes, these vivid memories that aren't his. He sees a werewolf ancestor who made the original pact. Turns out, the townspeople and the werewolves have this shared history, something deliberately buried under all the fear and hate. Kind of makes you think about those real-life situations where historical biases just keep fueling conflict, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Those ancestral memories add this whole other layer of depth. It's not just a broken deal. It's about uncovering this fundamental connection that's been forgotten. It raises the question, how much do the stories we tell ourselves about the past shape the conflicts we have today?
And then the moment of truth arrives. The full moon isn't just triggering transformations. It's drawing this monstrous creature from the forest, something way worse than the local pack. Now, humans and werewolves are facing a common enemy. Ethan, armed with this new knowledge and the amulet, steps forward. He's honest, says he's no warrior, but he stands against both sides, proclaiming this ancestral pack. He goes from outcast to potential leader, not because of some sudden strength, but because of truth and heritage.
He's leading through knowledge and conviction, not brute force. It shows how true leaders can come from anywhere, and it doesn't always have to be about physical strength.
And get this, In all the chaos, Ethan, this kid who's more at home with gears and springs than swords, finds his own role. He can't fight like a werewolf, but he's repairing weapons, keeping people in the fight. And in this incredibly symbolic moment, he shields a villager, just like the werewolf alpha protects his pack. It's like this beautiful image of empathy pushing past fear.
That mirroring is so powerful, it breaks down that us versus them mentality. Ethan's not a traditional hero, but his actions are essential in building this new, fragile alliance. Shows that true alliances are about more than just shared threats. It's about supporting each other.
The story ends with this fragile truce and Ethan's powerful words about moving forward together. He's become the bridge between these two worlds. It acknowledges the long history of conflict, but there's this glimmer of hope for reconciliation.
It doesn't sugarcoat the past, but it offers a path forward based on shared ancestry and this new threat. It makes you wonder if healing is possible, even after generations of animosity.
All right, time to batten down the hatches and head into our second flash fiction story, Heir of the Wild Moon. We're thrown right into the tense world of a werewolf court. Intrigue, whispers, the whole 9 yards. We meet Princess Zara, and she's facing this arranged marriage to Elias from a rival pack. It's all about keeping the peace, but Zara feels like she's just a pawn.
Blood Legacy was about hidden ancestry, and Heir of the Wild Moon dives into another type of inheritance, that burden of political legacy, the fight for power within a different kind of society.
Exactly. And we see right away how Zara feels trapped by those expectations of her royal status. And then we get this forbidden element, Kai, her lowborn guard. There's this meeting under the moon, and the attraction is undeniable, but dangerous given their positions. It adds this whole other layer of personal risk to the political storm that's brewing.
Forbidden romance, it always adds that extra layer of vulnerability. Kai represents something outside the rigid structure of the court, something wild and untamed.
It's during these secret meetings that Kai starts dropping hints, these rumors about Elias's father dabbling in dark magic. If true, it could shatter the peace completely. This is what gets Zara digging to the truth.
Those rumors are the spark. She starts to see that the peace she's being forced into might just be a facade hiding something much darker.
So Zara takes matters into her own hands. At her betrothal ball, no less, she starts spying. And what does she find? Elias's father meeting with a cloaked figure whispering about power. It's a classic scene, but with werewolves. The ball, which is supposed to symbolize unity, is where she uncovers this betrayal.
The irony is so thick you could cut it with a silver knife.
Yeah.
And that cloaked figure. Immediately you know there are forces at play beyond the werewolf politics.
And then everything changes. Zara's father, the Alpha, is assassinated. Elias steps in, declares himself the new Alpha. Zara, fueled by grief and rage, transforms and confronts him head-on.
Talk about an emotional explosion. You can feel her pain and anger. She's not just fighting for power, she's fighting for her father's legacy.
But just when you think it's a straight-up fight between Zara and Elias, Kai steps in. And he's brought unknown werewolves with him. Their loyalties are unclear. Suddenly, Zara realizes she's caught in a much bigger power struggle, with alliances constantly shifting.
Kai throws a major wrench in the works. It makes you question everything. Who's playing who? What are their motives?
And then we learn the truth about the real villain. The cloaked figure is a human sorcerer, and he's been pulling Elias's strings with dark magic all along. Now, Zara's fight isn't just about peace, it's about survival.
It takes the conflict beyond werewolf politics and introduces this whole new dimension of human magic. It's a game changer. Zara realizes that survival comes before political games.
The climax is this all-out brawl in the court hall. Zara fights the sorcerer, and then, in a shocking move, Kai takes down Elias. It's brutal, and it makes you question whose side Kai is really on.
You never quite know what Kai's true motives are. It adds this layer of mystery to their whole relationship.
The story ends in the aftermath of this fight. Uncertainty hangs in the air, they need a new Alpha, and Zara is stepping into that void. She's not just a grieving daughter anymore, she's a leader. And there's this hint of a possible alliance between her and Kai. It's a new era, and it's not all sunshine and roses.
It's not a tidy ending, more like the start of something new with a lot of potential for both good and bad.
So what'd you think of those flash fiction stories? Both Blood Legacy and Heir of the Wild Moon took us on some wild pirate raids, right? Hidden ancestry, broken alliances, the courage to forge new paths. That's amazing how much they packed into such a short form.
Both stories, despite being so different, explored that idea of inherited conflict and the unexpected alliances that can come from it.
Ethan's journey from outcast to unifier reminds us that anyone can be a bridge between worlds. And Zara, going from pawn to power player, shows the strength you find when you challenge expectations and embrace who you truly are.
It's about knowing our history and adapting to change. Both are essential, whether it's for survival or progress.
What stood out to you? Were you more drawn to Ethan's struggle for acceptance or Zara's fight for power? What about the idea of monsters sharing our blood or peace built on secrets? These stories give us a lot to think about, and I encourage you to revisit them and really dig into those deeper meanings.
Fiction can be a powerful way to look at real-world conflicts and how identity, prejudice, and that search for common ground play out.
This has been another thrilling pirate raid into the world of flash fiction here on the Pirates vs. Werewolves podcast. We hope you enjoyed these tales, and be sure to rate and follow the show for more captivating stories. Let us know what other wild stories you want us to tackle next. Keep those stories coming, and until our next pirate raid, fair winds and following seas.
And remember, even in fiction, we can find insights into our own humanity, our fears, our capacity for both conflict and cooperation.
One last thought for you. What if the scariest monsters aren't the ones with claws and fangs, but the ones we don't recognize in ourselves or in the societies we build?